Welcome back everyone. The Apple Watch Series 5 was an Apple Watch that Apple released a couple of years ago, and to be honest, this was actually a pretty cool Apple Watch that they made. I think the Series 4 was a really good upgrade coming from the Series 3 or whatever, but the Series 5 took that up a notch, and I think they did a really good job. This specific watch came out in 2019, and it doesn't even feel like it's almost been 3 years since this watch came out, which is so crazy. When you look at the Apple Watch Series 5 and you look at the latest and greatest Apple Watches, there is still a lot of similarities and there's still a lot of overlap between them. So in my opinion, something like the Apple Watch Series 5 I think is still somewhat relevant, and when you consider that the Apple Watch SE has pretty much the same chipset as the Apple Watch Series 5, it kind of makes me, good and kind of recommending the Apple Watch Series 5. If you want to pick it up, links will be down in the description. You can get it from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now with the Apple Watch Series 5, we have the same 40mm and 44mm size we can go ahead and actually pick up. So great sizes for sure. I've always liked them. I like the bigger model, but I do like the smaller one too for a little bit, for people who like a more compact watch. Now with the front, you do have that always on display, which was one of the more important things about this Apple Watch. I think it was pretty much one of the only things this specific watch brought in terms of features. When you look at the newer watches, they have a lot cooler things, for the most part. Like the Series 7 has a little bit of less bezel around it, but with something like the Apple Watch Series 5, I think this still looks great, and I don't really have too many complaints or problems with this watch in my opinion. Now we still have, the crown on the side, and we have the power button we can go and click into place as well, which still feels and looks really good. We have the band around it, which we can actually go ahead and interchange with any of the other bands that you can go and buy. And that's the cool thing about the Series 5. You can actually go ahead and pick up this watch and pick up bands, and you can interchange these bands from the first Apple Watch all the way to the latest Apple Watch. And even this thing's not the newest, but all those new Apple Watch bands will fit on this thing, which is really cool. So you will pretty much have that capability for this watch whichever way you look at it, which is really awesome. Now in terms of the back, there's nothing much else. You have like the little charging port where you can go and plug it in the back, and that really pretty much covers it up on the outside. I think for sure this is still a really good looking Apple Watch, and like I mentioned, this thing looks almost exactly the same as the other Apple Watches, so you're really not going to notice that big of a difference unless you look at the Series 7 and you're like extremely jealous of the lack of bezel around it for the most part. Now internally, we do have the S5 chip inside, and we do have that W3 wireless chip that Apple made, and I can tell you, this Apple Watch still is very, very fast, and it's still very smooth. I think one thing, especially when I compared this watch to the Series 7 last year, I noticed the Series 5 is still a very good performing Apple Watch. It doesn't feel slow, it doesn't feel cheap, and I do think if you're somebody in the market and you want to go and buy an Apple Watch and move on with your life, you can't really go wrong with this thing. It still has a really good performing, chipset inside. And the funny thing is, and I mentioned this before, with something like my Apple Watch Series 4 that's older than the Series 5 and not as fast and all that good stuff, my Apple Watch Series 4 still performs extremely well. I don't even plan on updating probably for another 2 years. And with the Series 5, this thing was a really good Apple Watch as well. It's still a really good option. And I think in terms of the performance from everything along those, routes, you can't really go wrong with this type of Apple Watch. And I do think, if you want to go and upgrade to the Series 6 or Series 7, you're probably going to be getting a faster watch here and there. But I don't think you can go wrong with something like the Series 5. And I still think this is a really good performing Apple Watch for sure. Now in terms of the battery life, Apple says that it can charge up to 18 or last up to 18 hours. Maybe that's true. I always felt like this battery life wasn't as good as my Series 4, and especially when you have that always on display option. Now they say the always on display option doesn't really interfere with battery life too much, but it might, and I think maybe it's more placebo than not. But I like the Apple Watch Series 5 overall. I think it's a great Apple Watch. If you currently own it, I would still recommend keeping it. I think it's a really solid option for a lot of people out there. If you have like an Apple Watch Series 2 or Series 3, going up to the Apple Watch Series 4 I think is a very solid option for sure. You can't really go wrong with it. I think it still has a ton of capability, and I think just for sure without a doubt it's a solid option. If you want to go up to something like the Apple Watch SE or Apple Watch Series 7, then by all means go for it. But I do think if you're in the market, getting something like the Apple Watch Series 5, especially if you have an older Apple Watch, or even if you just want to get an Apple Watch now and you're just starting off, this is a really solid option, and I would highly recommend you guys to pick it up for sure. So in terms of that covers it up there. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.